Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your news edition. These are the headlines. Following the bus accident of Al-Harash, the Prime Minister Nadel Al-Arbawi visits the injured in Zmili Hospital and conveys the solidarity of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, assuring the mobilization of all the government's resources for an optimal care. On the instruction of the President of the Republic, the Minister of Interior Brahim Marad visits the families of the victims in Algiers, Boumerdas and Bouira and conveys his condolences and his deep sympathy. The genocide against the Palestinian people is still ongoing in Gaza as the Zionist entity targets displaced Palestinians in a Zaytun neighborhood. In France, the far right continues its hatred policy based on racism, especially towards Algerians, in order to cover its huge political failure. Welcome back. Following the bus accident that occurred on Friday in Al-Harash, the Prime Minister Nadel Al-Arbawi visited the injured and their families in Zmili Hospital. He conveyed the solidarity of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, and highlighted the particular interest that the head of state attaches to the care conditions, assuring the mobilization of all the government's resources for an optimal care. On this occasion, the Prime Minister thanked the medical and paramedical staffs in charge of the patient's care. Following the instructions of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, the Interior Minister Brahim Marad, accompanied by Algiers Governor Abdel Rabhi, offered his condolences to the families of the victims of the bus accident in Al-Harash, extending the President's sympathy to their families in Algiers, Boumerdas and Bouira provinces. More details with Najah Tayyar.
The ordeals Algeria has faced have never affected only the grieving families. They have always revealed the highest values of solidarity and unity between the Algerians and the state's institutions. The Interior Minister's visit to the families of the bus accident victims in Wad al-Harash and his delivery of the President of the Republic's condolences reflects the profound bond between the people and their leadership in facing hardships and difficult circumstances. May God have mercy on their souls, they are martyrs. The President of the Republic sends you his sincere condolences. We are grateful for the efforts of our authorities and our people. We thank Allah and we thank you for standing with us in this grief. Your presence really erased our pain. Long live the President of the Republic. We thank him for his condolences. The Interior Minister Brahim Marad, during his visit to the victims' families in Bab Zawar in Algiers, Hamadi in Boumerdas, and Al-Akhtariya in Bouira province, highlighted the notable role of the Algerian youth, whose efforts in saving lives once again reflected the strength of solidarity. He emphasized that such hardships not only test the nation, but also forge resilience and deepen human and social bonds. We thank Allah for the solidarity and sympathy shown by Algerians, from ordinary citizens to the highest authorities. In such tragedies, Algerians stand as one, citizens, civil protection services, and state officials alike. By reflecting a spirit of sincere compassion, this gesture brings comfort to the families, easing their suffering and helping to heal their wounds.
Tasked by the President of the Republic, the Minister of Interior, Local Communities and Regional Planning, Brahim Marad, visited on Sunday morning the families of the victims of the bus accident. He was accompanied by the Governor of Algiers, Abdel Rabhi. The Interior Minister conveyed the condolences of the President of the Republic and his deep sympathy, reaffirming the solidarity of the government with the victims and their families. Brahim Rad gave also a symbolic amount of money to the families of the victims, praying God to grant them courage and patience to face this painful ordeal.
At Salim Zmirli University Hospital, the indicators are reassuring. The majority of those injured in the bus crash from Wad al-Harash Bridge are out of danger thanks to the rapid mobilization of medical teams. All surgical procedures were successful. Several patients have already left the intensive care unit to move to less intensive care units.
I feel much better. I've been prescribed antibiotics. They did an ACT scan and x-rays. Thank God they're fine. Doctors are keeping them as precaution. The hospital's medical staff is working hard to ensure optimal care for the injured. Doctors and nurses are working day and night to watch over us, relieve our pain, and administer the necessary medication. We are receiving good care. Most of the injured arrived with chest trauma that required urgent surgery. All of these procedures were successful thanks to the efforts of the medical and paramedical teams. The patient's condition is currently stable. We appeal to all citizens who mobilized on the day of the accident to save lives to come to Al-Qattar Hospital for the necessary medical examinations.
In combination with medical supervision, patients receive psychological support sessions to help them overcome shock and possible trauma and to promote both physical and emotional healing. When the victims arrived in shock, we immediately provided care to prevent any after effects or post-traumatic stress. Thankfully, their condition is improving. The patient's health is considered stable. According to doctors, 8 or 9 of them can already leave the hospital, a reassuring development that confirms that the situation is generally under control. We would like once again to offer our condolences to the family of the victims and assure them of our full support. Between pain and hope, survivors move forward, finding strength and solidarity and light in their ordeal.
On the instruction of the President of the Republic, the Transport Minister Said Sayud chaired a meeting with the provincial transport directors and sector bodies, a session aimed at renewing and modernizing the national fleet and improve public transport. Details with Ndahtiyar.
As part of a comprehensive plan to modernize the national transport fleet and ensure a safe, modern and well-organized public transport service, and in line with the instructions of the President of the Republic regarding the withdrawal of outdated buses over 13 years old. A series of security measures has been adopted to be implemented in 2 phases. Phase 1, withdrawal of all buses over 30 years old within 6 months. Phase 2, the withdrawal of buses over 20 years old with support measures for operators in accordance with the law. They will benefit from tax and customs incentives to acquire buses less than 5 years old, while encouraging local bus manufacturing to strengthen the national economy. In addition, a set of organizational and field measures has been agreed upon. Joint provincial committees will be established to inspect buses on site, assessing both their structure and safety conditions. Only buses that receive official approval following inspection reports will be authorized to operate. And to ensure effective and practical solutions, a joint working team will collaborate with transport operators to monitor regulatory files and address concerns in a participatory approach. A toll-free number will also be made available at the level of provincial directorates for reporting any violations. These measures aim to renew the national fleet and guarantee safe, modern and organized public transport at the service of both citizens and the country.
The Secretary of State to the Minister of Foreign Affairs in charge of African Affairs, Salma Bakhta Mansouri, participated on Saturday at the Embassy of Madagascar in Algeria in the celebration commemorating the 45th anniversary of founding of the Southern African Development Community. The celebration was attended by Geniera Valimana, the acting ambassador of the Embassy of Madagascar, as incoming chair of SADC in Algeria, and His Excellency Ambassador Vusumuzi Ntonga, Ambassador of the Republic of Zimbabwe, as the outgoing chair of the group, along with members of the diplomatic corps accredited to Algeria. On this occasion, Salma Bakhta Mansouri reiterated Algeria's commitment to the SADC process, promoting regional integration and economic transformation in Africa. The National Independent Authority for Audiovisual Regulatory took the decision to suspend 4 media outlets, namely Al Bilad TV, Al Wataniya TV, Al Hayat TV, and Al Shuruq TV for 48 hours starting from Saturday at 10:30 p.m. This decision was taken after serious professional misconducts in covering the bus accident of Al Harraj, such as interviewing injured in emergency rooms, screening shocking images without prior warning in order to increase their audience, and the reactions on their social media platforms at the expense of the respect for the dignity and the privacy of citizens. The sanction concerns the satellite broadcasting and the digital platforms, with a ban of sharing any content on the digital platforms during these 48 hours, and an obligation to remove all the non-professional content from all the platforms. And a scary and shocking number, 1 million women and girls are threatened by the deadly danger of famine and violence in Gaza. An alert launched by the UNRWA that describes the situation as chaotic. In order to survive, some of them have to risk their lives to look for food and water. The UN agency calls once again for the end of the blockade to deliver the humanitarian aid to the enclave. Meanwhile, the health authorities in Gaza recorded new victims added to an already heavy toll. In the last 24 hours, 7 Palestinians were murdered, including 2 children, because of famine. According to the United Nations, malnutrition among children under 5 years old has been doubled since last spring. In France, the far right and those who thrive on its slogans often turn to Algeria and Algerians as ready-made targets for their campaigns, reviving a dismal colonial past whenever they stumble politically, thereby exposing a profound internal crisis. Details with Adil Bahri.
When voices, one expected to stand for reason and diplomacy, resort to hate, what they truly reveal is the bankruptcy of far-right politics. You have millions of Algerians who represent a major risk, who could pull out a knife in the metro station, in the street, anywhere, or take a car and drive into a crowd. 4 days later, Lenoir corrected herself, saying she meant thousands and not millions, but this change doesn't really alter the meaning of her words. Whether it's thousands or millions, the statement still targets a whole community. The correction can't erase the harm or the fear of her remarks have already spread. It's only show how irresponsible such comments are. Saying that millions of Algerians are thugs, that's not true. It's awful. It's racism. As I have said it again, there are few politicians who make this their business. In fact, today when you look at the rhetoric of the far right and part of the right, unfortunately there is indeed a form of Algeria bashing. I write it on social media and I confirm it again. There is a form of Algeria bashing, but it's not the choice of the French people. The remark, seen as an attack on Algerians, led to strong reactions. Human rights groups filed complaints for hate speech, and even a French MP asked the prosecutor to act. The far right in Paris seems to have no strategy except creating fake crises with Algeria, spreading the same hateful ideas again and again. In the end, these repeated attacks say less about Algeria and more about the crisis within French politics, where the far right thrives on fear rather than solutions.
And with this, we come to the end of our edition. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us. Have a good night.